On out there? It's Doug Cunnington from Niche Site Project, and this is your weekly live stream. So, welcome. Glad to have you on. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I think you probably can. This has been working okay. I'm learning about when there's some issue or whatever. So, I think I'm slowly getting better at the mechanics. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to kind of call back a couple of the cool success stories that we published this week. So one was from Christy, the other from Marty yesterday. I know from my analytics that those videos are doing very well. And it's no surprise because Christy and Marty are both awesome. They've been on the show a couple times. They're doing really well as far as grinding, continuing to work on their site. They've seen consistent growth over time, which is fantastic. And I'll also mention a couple things about what's going on in my life right now. Part of it is it sounds like I drank whiskey last night and smoked a bunch of cigars, but I didn't. I don't know why my voice is a little scratchy. I slept pretty well, had a nice day yesterday, so I'm not sure. Hopefully, I'm not getting sick. So I just need to, make sure I take my vitamins and stay healthy, get rest, and all that. I'm also going to talk about 5-Figure Niche Site. That is my premium course, and it's launching this week. So you have a little over 12 hours before the doors close. And we've had a lot of people enroll already, which is fantastic. I appreciate all the new folks that are coming in, and I think right now is a great time to get started on your site or work on growing your site. So I will talk about that a little bit. It won't be a huge sales pitch. I think I put a link in the description, but if not, you can go to 5figurenichesite.com/launch, and that will have the active links so that you can purchase. As I mentioned, you got about until the end of the day today. So 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time, that's my local time. And basically you're able to enroll up until that point. And then once the doors close, then it's closed for this quarter. But there is an evergreen funnel situation happening. So potentially, depending on where you are in my funnel, those are the automated emails, you may or may not be able to enroll sometime in the future or not. But here's the other thing. A lot of other courses and course creators will put a huge amount of pressure on you about like never being able to purchase or something like that. I launch like 4 times a year. So if now's not a good time, just stick around like in another quarter, a few months, maybe it's the right time for you. So the other part is if you if you need kind of a kick in the ass, the course is often a good thing to get you moving forward, motivated. You're around like-minded people and some other folks like that to help you like move forward and actually grow. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I have 2 more awesome success stories for next week. So I was sort of throttling them back just because as I'm learning a little bit more about YouTube and being patient, I know that if I publish too many videos too fast, people won't watch them all. So if I just give the viewers a little more time to check in, some people don't watch YouTube every day. It's probably a good healthy thing to do. Some people don't watch YouTube every day, and if I publish too much, then people are overwhelmed. So we have 2 more coming up next week. One is from Adrian, longtime friend of the show. He's active in the comments. He has his own YouTube channel. Shout out to Adrian Diaz out there. And he'll be published next week, as well as Marcus. So Marcus came out of the woodwork. He's been a student in the course for a couple years. He recently hit $1,000 per month. He's looking to form a mastermind group, and there will be a call to action next week. Like, hey, if you want to form a mastermind group, you want to hook up with Marcus and grow as entrepreneurs and growing your niche site, you'll have the opportunity. All right. I know a lot of people ask about that stuff. So Marcus was like, "Hey, I want to form a group," which I have no part of it, right? So I'm like, "Hey, I can help get the word out. I can get people to contact you." But Marcus, I'm not facilitating. I have no part of it. I have no responsibility. Sounds like extra work to me. So yeah, we're just going to talk about what he's working on, talk about mastermind groups and all that. And thanks for the people in the chat. I'm going to give some folks a shout out. We have Ali and Francis. What's up, Francis? Good to see you. Dimitri, Traffics Mania. I don't think that's your real name. And then Avinash, what's up? And Traffics Mania is he's a silly. He's a silly. He or she is silly. I'm gonna have to kick them out here in a second. And Jeremy says you're loving the videos this week. Much appreciated. Thanks for the support. Again, from the metrics, I could see people like the videos. And yeah, you know what? If you have a success story you want to share, shoot me an email, feedback@Doug.Show, and then I can get it into the queue, there. So thanks, Jeremy, for checking out the videos, and everyone else too. Very, very much appreciated. I love it if you can like the videos and leave a comment, even if you don't really have anything to add. Just say like, "Hey, I really enjoyed the video." Like those little interactions, those help other people see the video because YouTube will recommend it. So I like it if you do that. And Francis says, you wish you can transition to online from your manual work. And, over time, that's what you'll be able to do. So that's just, if you grind it out, if you keep moving forward and adjusting, you'll be in good shape. So definitely keep an eye out for those success stories next week. And Justin says that you're here for the first time. Welcome. Glad to have you on. And yeah, other folks, if you're on for the first time, let me know too. And then we have a couple things I'm going to talk about, just my personal stuff. So we moved, right? So we used to live in Atlanta originally. We moved to Montana. We stayed in Montana, the Bozeman area for a few years. Beautiful. It was fantastic. We loved it there. Had a nice little house. But my wife got a good job opportunity down in the Boulder, Colorado area. So we moved, and we've been in an apartment for about a year. And it's fine. It's a pretty nice apartment as far as like the newness, because it was brand new. No one lived here before. People are pretty nice. They allow dogs, which is important to us. Location is pretty good. It would be nice if we were a little closer to Boulder, but it's extremely expensive in Boulder. In fact, if people are interested, you can check out like the median and the average house price in like Boulder County. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. So we're not in Boulder, we're near Boulder, and we're ready to move out of the apartment. So we've been house shopping. It's been a little overwhelming. There's a lot more inventory here in Colorado than there was in the Bozeman area, and we're kind of like not in the house buying season, so there are not as many houses, but the ones that are popping up, there's quite a few like in our price range. It just depends on the location, which we are sort of flexible about, and just generally we've been looking around, and like I said, it's overwhelming because like you can get a newer place, but maybe it's a little smaller, or maybe the location isn't great. It's sort of like way out, or the places that we really like with a good location and the price we want are in rougher shape. Maybe they need new siding, or maybe it's like a super old like air conditioner. The roof is in bad shape. The workmanship is shoddy. We've seen a lot of flips out there. Some of them owned by like bigger companies, like Redfin, I think is one, and then Zillow. And there are varying degrees of quality workmanship. So sometimes we walked into a place and things look pretty good on the pictures on the website, like on Zillow. But when we walk in, you could see maybe the tile and the flooring is a little uneven. Maybe it's just a little dirty. Maybe the finishings are not done properly. So little things where you can't really tell from the picture, but as soon as you walk in, you see there's just poor workmanship. Like it was the first time that they laid laminate flooring. And funny couple places we looked at, there's a lot of open houses, which they were kind of fun to go to at first, but then after a while, it's like tired of driving around, tired of making the small talk. But there was one spot where apparently the person that lived there was going to try to do the work themselves. So they put laminate flooring in for like a lot of the house, and then they just stopped. So they didn't finish it all the way. So they did like 80%, and then they didn't do the, or 80% of laying the floor, and then you got to do a little bit more with laying the floor, and then you have to do like quarter round and the finishings and those sort of things. So there's a decent amount of work. And the hilarious part is they only had like a little bit more to go, but they apparently had no clue what they were doing, and maybe didn't even consult with people at the store, because they had the remaining boxes of laminate flooring, and they only needed, say, 3 more boxes, but they had like 35. They had like way more flooring than they needed. So I don't know what the person did, but they ended up with like 10 times more material than they even needed. So either they didn't measure at all, or they like misplaced a decimal point or something like that. It was absolutely insane. And the place was just kind of a mess overall. It needed a lot of work. The other part is some of the older homes that we were looking at, like from the 70s, they have very low shower heads. So the shower heads are maybe they came out of the wall, and they would like, the water would hit me like in the neck or the chest, like so low. I'm not sure like what the deal was, why that design was in the house at all. Like, it makes no sense to have a shower head. I mean, it's like the house is from the 70s. There's no reason to have that low of a shower head. It's like people weren't that short back then. I'm not sure what the deal is. So anyway, the house hunting is exciting. We're trying to, work through negotiations and offers and different things like that. We're working with a very excellent real estate agent who sort of gets us and our interest and all that stuff. We were actually looking at maybe trying to buy without an agent, which there's a lot of hurdles in the real estate world as far as like being able to represent yourself. A little bit more straightforward to sell on your own, but to buy on your own, you have to make sure certain things are written into the contract so that you're not paying the buyer's agent like for no reason. So anyway, I think that'll be another topic for another day. I may even get my real estate agent in for a Doug.Show podcast. She's a very, very prominent podcaster out there. So pretty cool. Hopefully I'll be able to get her on the show. Mindy Jensen, she is a podcast host on the Bigger Pockets Money podcast. All right. So check that out. It's a very interesting show. Francis is saying that Vancouver prices are down on homes. I know there was a very expensive situation happening in Vancouver. And Francis said you had a bubble burst last year when prices peaked and you bought your townhome. Oh, sorry about that. I think that's what happened to me back in 2005. Had a pretty rough experience buying my first home, and I bought like at the worst time to buy a home in ever. So it was a total mess, and I kept it for, how long did I have it? For about 8 years, something like that. And it was, I don't know, it was an educational experience, and I'm glad I'm through it now. I don't want to give away too many things for what may be a podcast episode in the future. But it was a mess, went through foreclosure, all the business, and I came out the other side. Everything's fine. So AK says you have a question. Sure, you could ask. Arslan, if it's a basic question, we may just go through it quickly. I do want to encourage people, if you have questions, go to nichesiteproject.com/FAQ, and you will see many frequently asked questions. Like sometimes people ask, how do I find a niche? Which is that's a hard thing to do, but I've answered it a couple times in various areas. And if you go to nichesiteproject.com/FAQ, it's great reading. Even if you don't have any questions right now, if you just read through, it's questions that other people may ask, and it gives you insight into things you maybe should be thinking about. All right. So funny, we have fewer people here today than normal, which seems slightly unusual. I'm not sure why. I didn't publicize it much more, but maybe the email notifications aren't going out or something like that. So that's the deal with the house hunting. It was kind of fun at first. It's slowly becoming less fun, just in a general sense. But hopefully it'll be exciting again once like things can start moving forward. So, and we're not. I'm not completely like useless as far as like DIY and some small repairs, but I haven't done like certain things. Like I've done laminate flooring. I can actually do that fairly well. Did my house in Bozeman, and I have like some tools, right? So I have like a miter saw to do the quarter round. I have like a circular saw to cut boards and stuff like that. So I could do some light sort of I guess carpentry, like pretty light. I haven't done maybe some of the more slightly involved things like replacing sinks and like faucets and like tearing out a bathroom vanity and then putting a new one in. Like I haven't done that, but some of the places we are looking at maybe it would be really nice to take out some of the old fixtures and put in new ones. So we're kind of looking at places that are a little newer, or at least that have been renovated so that we don't have to do some of that stuff. But one of the cooler places that we are looking at has an unfinished basement, so there would be an opportunity there to, learn some stuff. So, all right. Let me see. Any questions out there? Yeah, and AK, feel free to ask. So a couple cool notes as far as the videos, the success stories that I published. So number one, I did get a few emails this week about, hey, is this course like still useful? It seems like this course has been out for a while, Doug. And the answer is yes, it's still useful. I have like new success stories from like last month. And some of the emails that I send out, I am highlighting like people who did really well, but maybe it was a year or two ago. And that makes people nervous. They think, hey, why are you sharing old stories? Um, and I think the old stories are good because a lot of them are like very, very significant, or there's a good, basically, storyline in there. However, people get nervous if they see old income reports. So I'll probably be removing some of those emails just because people are very, I don't know, they get nervous. So I got some very interesting emails where it's like, oh, I see you're sending out 2-year old earning reports, must not work anymore. And then they go on with their day. Now, the reality is I wouldn't want that person to be a student of the course because they're like they're like a glass half empty person. Um, if I can give them better information, that would be good. But the fact that the person, replied back tells me that there's some issue. But the fact is there's like, these two stories that I shared this week, they're literally from last month. I recorded the interview like this year, right? So that is a very, very good indication that it's still valid. And I do want to play a clip from Christy, and her full interview was published on Monday. She's been on the show multiple times already, so you could sort of track her trajectory. But this clip here is about motivation, staying motivated, and some mistakes that she made. So I'm going to play this clip here.
Well, I think the first thing was to just set my expectations correctly. You were a piece of that, definitely. I think you were in the course and just in your other materials of saying this isn't an overnight thing, right? And I think once you start learning more about how Google works, how SEO works, then it really clicks of, yeah, this is going to take some time. But the nice thing about, doing the KGR, at least in the beginning, is that you do see some progress and you can see some results right away, which is the key to staying motivated, right? So if I hadn't seen a single dollar in 6 months, I probably wouldn't continue. And that's really realistic if you don't go after like some KGR keywords, right? So if I had only gone after giant keyword traffic phrases, I probably would have burned out also, no matter how passionate I was about the topic. So I think it's really important right up front to tell yourself that if you need a quick fix, if you need like a way to pay your mortgage next month, this is not that. But for me, I wanted something supplemental to kind of diversify my life income, right, from my other business. And I wanted something that I would enjoy working on in my own time and eventually could be more of a lifestyle for me than running a services-based business, which I do now.
Perfect. And another thing I want to point out and emphasize, so we talked about some of the expenses and you like broke even before, you're making profit now, you could reinvest like comfortably and you're continuing to make a profit each month. The value of your site is probably in the like $70,000 to $90,000
That's a
range
nice
if you were to
number.
sell it. Yeah. So like if someone is thinking, hey, that's a lot of money that you spent,
Right.
it's actually worth quite a bit. If you look at a valuation, if you shopped it around, I know because you're obsessed with it and you spend so much time, you're not going to sell it, but it's comforting
But
to
you are
know.
building an asset, and should an emergency arise, you built something of value, which I do think is important.
Yeah. So, yep, you put in a lot of money, even more time, but you have like an asset that's very clear that there's value there. So very good. Mistakes. So we all end up making some mistakes, even with expert guidance and when you try to do a good job. So can you talk about a few mistakes that you've made?
Yeah. I think there were quite a few things that I did partly well, which I classify as partly mistakes. So one of the things that I did well was create like an Excel spreadsheet right off the top. Every article, like my checklist of what needs to be done, every article. So I have a really clear sense of like every post that's out there, when it was posted, like how long I expect it to take to rank, all that good stuff. That's nice, right? Which I now kind of wish I'd gone back and done, that I'd kept track of which free stock sites I got things from just to cover my bases. Once you're 200 posts in, that seems pretty giant to go back. Had I to do it again, I would probably add that to my nice little spreadsheet, just as like a comfort factor. So that would be one. I would also be a little bit more strategic about the social media stuff. What I did well was focusing on Pinterest primarily. I wrote another article about Pinterest and how it drove, I think it was like 13 to 15% of my early traffic. And I think it's still right around there. I think it was like 15 or 18% last time I checked for the year, which is really good when you're still trying to get organic traffic and you want it from anywhere. So for me, Pinterest was a great place to go because it is a search engine. So you can apply a lot of what you're already doing on the site to Pinterest. So that was good. I wish that I had not started an Instagram. Kind of a time suck, and I don't work on it, and I don't like doing it. So that's probably not a huge advantage to be spending any time on, or just the time spent feeling guilty about not spending time on it. I don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I would have been a little bit more strategic about that. I think the other thing I would have spent more time on is the link building, which you and I have been talking about lately, and just doing a little bit more of that along the way. So for me, I needed to focus on content, right? And that was where I put all my time, my energy, and I got to like 200 articles. And I felt really good about that. And then now we're to the point where I need to catch up on the link building. So that's kind of the next thing for me. If I were to do it over, I would have been doing that kind of the whole way.
All right. That was a quick clip from Christy sharing her knowledge. We got another one coming from her a little bit later in the show. And a couple questions came through, so people could feel free to ask questions right now. I do feel my voice is very scratchy today, so we may end it early so I don't completely lose my voice here. So let me just answer a few questions here. And Francis says, for the house hunting, this is off topic, but I'm talking about house hunting. Just curious if you guys practice feng shui, measurement with house hunting, and so on. And you mentioned that in Vancouver, some realtors integrate it with feng shui. So I don't, but my wife like kind of looked into some of the things when she was arranging like her condo, like before we got married, and she does have like a couple little things where she's like, it's kind of funny to have the bed face this way, which now in her head, sort of makes a little bit of a difference, but I don't really pay attention. I'm very indifferent for a lot of things like that, and just kind of deal with however the house is laid out. Although if we walk into a place and it's like clearly a shitty layout, I usually like I don't like it. So that's pretty clear. So like one of the places we liked a lot has sort of like higher ceilings, sort of an open layout from say the kitchen to the living room to a sitting room, and then upstairs the bedroom is laid out in a nice way as well. Although sometimes like depending on where you can put your bed versus like where the door is and stuff like that kind of makes a little bit of a difference. So thank you, Francis, for throwing that out. And by the way, Francis is a great student in the 5-Figure Niche Site course. So a little plug for the course. The Top asked this: would I recommend monetizing a blog with traffic of 10K per month with ads, or just use affiliate links? And the answer is it depends on what kind of traffic you have. If you have traffic that is interested in making an affiliate purchase, then do that. If you have just informational kind of traffic, then maybe try with ads. But I can't really answer the question without more information. That is a very common thing. People ask a general sort of question, and it almost always depends on the specifics of your site and what you're trying to do. So if you're building an affiliate site, do the affiliate links. But if you're building a non-affiliate site, you're just publishing information, then maybe the display ads are the way to go. Kyle asked this: you loved the video, so thanks a lot. What tools or process do I use for VAs to publish affiliate links? So I just tell them to put in the ASIN number and then the tracking ID that I want them to use, and then that's what they do. So there's a format for the affiliate links. You can just Google it, find it. I should probably do a video on that because a lot of people don't know that you don't have to use a site stripe. You could just go in. In fact, I think not necessarily all, but many of the Amazon affiliate plugins, they just use the format, right? So if you check out any of the links that are created with a plugin, then you'll see like you can just substitute in the ASIN, which is the unique identifying number. I don't know what it stands for off the top of my head, and then your tracking ID, which is unique to you. Chu says this: my site is not converting well. It's roughly above 1%. Do I think I should continue on my niche? I have this site for full 3 months now and is still adding content. What conversion rate would you consider minimum to continue pursuing that niche? So basically, I don't know because there's way too many variables. You may be doing a bad job with the content or the keywords or something. There could be a reason that you can switch basically immediately and then do much better. 3 months is not super long. A 1% conversion rate is kind of terrible, but it depends on the product. It could be great for a specific product, but mine are regularly like 11 to 13%. So I would think about that. 1% is low in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue with it. So again, I don't have enough information here. And as far as the conversion rate, so I don't choose a niche based on the conversion rate. Again, you could be making a mistake somewhere else that is completely unrelated to the niche. So you probably need to check if you're making a mistake. And if you knew that you were making a mistake, then you wouldn't have done it. But maybe you can go back to square one, kind of figure out what's going on. And Sean Nur says, what metrics to see before choosing a keyword? I would recommend you check out the keyword golden ratio, but there are many different metrics that you could check out: search volume, competition. Some people have, a little more value for certain metrics out there, but check out the keyword golden ratio. That's probably a good way to go. Praveen is from India. Thanks for hopping on the live stream here. All right. And Rizwan says you want an affiliate marketing A to Z partial guide. Please, affiliate marketing, profitable websites, create each and every. So it looks like just a jumble of words. Again, didn't really super clear it up, but just go to nichesiteproject.com, the Amazon affiliate area. The whole thing's there already. So just do a little research, just Google it, and you should be able to find it. It's literally all on the website, and I have at least 2 videos that goes A to Z. So just look for it. It's already out there. So Solomon says, can you do a dog food niche and would it do well? Potentially. I'm not sure though. I would broaden your scope a little bit. And I think we'll move on from the questions here. And this is something that could be good, right? So basically, Christy is giving some advice for people who are just getting started or what to do, like when you haven't reached the goal you're at. So I'm going to play that clip now, and I think it could be quite useful for Rizwan and maybe Solomon as well, where it's just like you got to get started.
I think the mindset is key. So knowing at the outset that it's not going to be an overnight thing, that's a biggie, right? You have to set your expectations correctly. There are the anomalies, right? And they're all over the internet of someone that made, a ridiculous amount of money in 3 months or something. That's great. That's probably not going to be you, and that's okay. That's all right. But I think the big thing for me is finding 1 or 2 like educators that you're going to follow instead of trying to follow everyone, right? So I chose you and maybe 1 or 2 other people that I, watch their blogs and things. Everybody has a different approach, and if you try to follow everyone, your site is going to be just like soup, right? It's not going to work out. So find a couple people that you really think are doing a good job, follow their advice. The other thing, this is a little thing, but I wish I'd done it sooner. I created basically a what I did when list. So I only created that maybe 4 months ago because I was having such a struggle remembering when I did big things. So when I was then looking at the data a couple of months later, I could see a spike and I couldn't relate it to anything. I was like, great, something happened in the middle of August. I don't know. I don't know if I contributed to that or not. So now I just have like literally a text file where I do something that's major. Like if I take ads off a group of posts, I put that in the file, right, with the date that I did it. So then if I see a blip, if I see something different in the data, I can go back to my list of what I did when and align it at least a little bit to see if I contributed to whatever just happened. So I would have done that from the beginning. It doesn't have to be every task that you do, like just the big stuff that you think might make a difference later. So I would do that. And then I probably would have, and you may disagree with me on this, I probably would have put in ads a little sooner, but I like having the, diversified income. For me, that's just a safer place to be. So I put ads in probably 6 months ago. I use Mediavine. I love them. And that was really cool to be able to have a second source. So now I'm going through and deciding which posts to take ads off of. Buyer's intent posts, for example, like you suggested, go back and take maybe the top 10 buyers posts by traffic, take ads off of those and see if you make more from Amazon or other affiliates than you did from ads. So that's kind of the trial period I'm going through now. But having ads on my site, I don't regret that. You can control a lot about how many there are, and that's great. But now I'm to the point where I can go back and say, okay, where could I be getting more from Amazon and other affiliates? Where could I make up more than I'm losing in ads? So that's where I am now. But those are a couple of things I would have done.
And I'm glad you pointed that out. I forgot to highlight that. So I think you're making like 2/3 from Amazon and then about 1/3 from other sources, mostly display ads.
Last month, I think was like 1,500 from Amazon and then about 900 from ads. So yeah, I did not lose as much by taking ads off of this first 10 trial posts. I made more than that. Granted, it was holiday season, so we'll see. But holidays, not a big thing for me. So.
And that's a whole other debate. Maybe we could talk about just, like you said, I was like, hey, don't put ads on.
Yep.
And then other people are like, put ads on, you can make more, which you almost always will.
Sure.
But there's always a trade-off. Maybe. Not always. I mean,
for sure.
Maybe the trade-off isn't as big of a deal. But anyway, it's debatable. And I could see that because like when you started showing me how much you were making, I was like, well, that's significant. Right. So excellent.
Yep, I agree. But it's a balance for sure. And you kind of just have to trial and error which ones are good for ads and which ones aren't. And you may be leaving some money on the table either place. And that's just the name of the game. So
yep.
All right. That was Christy. And you should definitely check out the full interview. Tons of knowledge, and just hearing the story is interesting. She started at zero. Her site's I think it's about 15 months old at this point. She's making about $2,500 per month. So that's significant. And another plug for the video yesterday that I published from Marty McLeod, longtime friend of the show. And there'll be some clips coming out with Marty later, but I haven't had time to get to those yet. And basically, Marty's making about $5,000 per month after 2+ years and was able to quit his job last fall. So again, 2 awesome interviews this week. Please check them out. Leave a comment if you have not yet, and give them a listen. Watch them at double speed if you need to. What's up to Stuart out there? And Akko mentioned that having a what I did when document is great. So you can sort of track things. And, again, Christy drops knowledge like that throughout. Tosh mentioned that you watched the video about video gear. And, I'm still using my T7i right here. I have this, it's not a Canon lens, but it's an 18-35 f1.8, and it is a beast. It's a Sigma lens. It is so sharp and it is amazing. A lot of people were asking like how, why the video looks much better than some of my earlier days. So number one is lighting. Lighting is super important. And if you have good lighting, usually a kit lens and all that will be fine. But the big thing with this lens here is it goes up to an f1.8, which means the lens diaphragms are open very wide. It lets in a lot more light, and that blurs the background as a side effect from a optics perspective. So it blurs the background. And when you watch movies, maybe, think about this when you're watching a movie, you see like a talking head or a close-up or something. Usually the background is very blurry and you can't really make out very much. And it makes the person or whatever is in focus sort of pop. And it looks sharp. It looks very good. So good lighting in conjunction with a lens that will open up wide, that's the key to have like really like nice looking video. If I had like a better storytelling and like more of a vlog kind of thing where there's a story happening, that would be helpful. But a lot of times I'm just doing like talking head than an interview. But that's like what we do here. So it's a little easier than having to create a story. I do want to mention that this live stream is brought to you in part by Ezoic. And Ezoic is a software platform that helps website owners make more money. And we were talking about display ads before. Ezoic can really help you optimize your display ads. They do like A/B testing and make it a lot easier for you to like optimize your revenue. It'll test different kinds of ads, different locations, different ad types to optimize per visitor. And sort of the machine behind it is AI and machine learning within Ezoic. So it'll help maximize your revenue on a per visitor basis. I've been playing around in the last week with the Site Speed Accelerator that makes optimizing your site much easier. So I I won't get into the details of this sort of transition over to using Ezoic for the site speed accelerator, but basically it's, checking a few boxes, setting up the configuration, and then you get the benefits without the confusion of setting up like a caching plugin or what I ended up trying to do in the past was put together like multiple different optimization plugins, which is messy, and more plugins generally means more of a security risk and just incompatibility between plugins. Very common if you have a lot of plugins. So check out Ezoic. That site speed accelerator will help you with like the CSS optimization, optimizing images, as well as lazy loading. So some of those key things that maybe aren't so straightforward to do. So check out Ezoic. They do have a 7-day free trial that you could sign up for out there. So with that said, I'm going to hop back over to a couple of questions. And Salman says this: most people in the affiliate industry say electronics is saturated, but will it still work if KGR is followed in the electronics, like for gaming keyboards and stuff like that? So the answer is I'm not sure because I haven't done that specifically, but in principle, yes. The keyword golden ratio is sort of a universal way to find long tail keywords. So whether you're looking in like local SEO for like lawyers, or if you're looking at broad topics that are saturated, if you're even looking at health or medical or legal related things, if you find keywords that are underserved and there's no other content or very little other content out there, there's a high chance you'll be able to rank in the top 10, even for saturated areas, because people are searching for different things in different ways every single day. I can't remember the metric, but there's some metric that like some fairly large percentage, I'll just keep it vague, a fairly large percentage of the queries that are entered into Google search are like brand new and they've never been entered. Like I said, it's a surprising percentage per day that people have never searched for before. And a lot of times those are going to be like very long phrases, something very specific. And in that way, that's how you may be able to compete even in a fairly saturated industry. Like I said, local lawyers may be able to find KGR terms that are very competitive, and just by putting out content that's ultra specific. So any other questions out there before I ditch out? And Akko says, nice camera. Yeah, it's just a fairly straightforward Canon T7i, and it has the dual pixel autofocus, so it can, follow the focus point. Basically, it'll follow your face. So it's a lot easier to do some vlogging, or actually just even if I'm setting up the tripod, it'll stay in focus as I move around, which I try not to move too much because you don't want the camera hunting for focus or anything like that. But yeah, it works great. Really enjoy the Canon products, and I've been a Canon guy since my 35 millimeters back in the day, and basically I had lenses that I could use, so I continued to stay with the Canon brand through the years because I had lenses, and then the more lenses you get, the more sort of ingrained. And Canon lenses are fantastic. They're some of the best out there. Some people use Canon lenses on like other brands of camera because it's good glass. All right, KVT out there as asking a question: how can a blog or website get 10,000 to 30,000 page views a month with only 20 posts? Well, basically, it's kind of a funny question, but basically, you need to have content on the site that people are searching for, and then they need to rank well. So I think that question is kind of funny because it's missing a lot of the point. In KVT, you've been around a while, you've watched for years. I think you're making some money out there already just from free content. So you know the drill. I think you understand already. And Akko Ben says, are there any plugins that will populate affiliate links other than Amazon affiliate based plugins? Probably, but I don't know them. I don't know why you would do that. Yeah, so I don't know what the value is for that, or I don't really understand why you would do that. So I don't know the answer. And Paul says, today is beer day. Indeed. Indeed it is. Adnan, what's going on? Okay, we'll see if there's any more questions in the last little bit here, but as we're finishing up, quick little plug. If you haven't checked out the 5-Figure Niche Site course and you're interested in the framework that Marty used, that Christy used, that Adrian used, and if you watch any of the other success stories, you'll see they're growing over time. They've implemented what's in the course. They're doing new things now. A lot of people are using like display ads on their informational post on their affiliate site because their site has matured to a point where they're getting enough traffic to make that work worthwhile without cannibalizing their affiliate revenue. So again, the course is out there, open for enrollment till the end of the day today. And I think there's one more slot for premium members. One opened up, someone canceled recently. So it opened up. So that is out there. The premium membership is actually a pretty good deal if you're looking for one-on-one help. My normal hourly rate, by the way, people were asking questions where basically I can't answer the question. I need to look at your site, look at the details, pull some reports, and then I can give you like expert advice on the things that you need help on. But it's really hard to do that with just a generic question like, should I stay in this niche? My conversion rate's low. So I can't really answer that without looking at the without looking at the details of your site. So anyway, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, the premium level course is actually a better situation where you get access to the course material, plus you get 4 one-on-one. Oh, and Marty McLeod is here on the live session as we're finishing up. All right. And KVT says you're making $300 a month, which is great. That's pretty good. And KVT is saying, how do bloggers write articles without keyword researching at first? You're kind of confused on how bloggers are getting a lot of traffic with less content. Well, one thing is you don't know if people are doing keyword research, and like I bet if you analyze their content, you would think, hey, maybe they are doing keyword research. It seems really well targeted. But otherwise, I was going to say I work with some people at the co-working space here, and basically a lot of those guys are getting like millions of visitors per month, and they didn't do keyword research. They wrote content that helped people solve a problem. In fact, I gave one of them, one of these guys, gave him a little tip from an SEO standpoint, even though he gets so much traffic on his site. So there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of different ways to do it. All right. And Paul says a one-on-one with Doug is highly recommended. It's a good thing to do. So much appreciated for the plug there. And shout out to Marty for hopping on here. We're going to finish it up a few minutes early here and check out Marty's interview that I published yesterday. And last question here from Salman. Do I know of any website that specializes in the room decor, blah, blah, blah? Nope, that's something you got to work on your own, man. I'm not going to do your work for you. So go research, go Google stuff and figure it out on yourself, or figure it out for yourself. I'm not doing your homework for you. So I'm sure you could find something out there. It's just a matter of Googling, searching, maybe go on Pinterest. Like all the information is out there for you. So, however, if you want to hire me to do a one-on-one consultation, like Paul mentions, it's a good idea to do, then we can step through it. Then we could step through it together, and I could show you how I would approach it. We record the session, and you could check it out later. So, and Marty, another plug for consulting with me. A consultation with Doug is money well spent. You learn from successful people, and they're doing what gets results. Thanks, Marty. I appreciate that. All right, we'll call it a day here. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll catch you next week. Thanks again to Ezoic. Please check out their free 7-day trial. All right, have a good weekend.